Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Salvatore Bruno. Join me in discovering the mindset into fitness, nutrition and wellness, where I'll be answering your questions, interviewing the top names and leaders in the game, and of course, I'll be getting their stories on how they get motivated to become the best. You'll find it right here on Bruno Talks. So hello and welcome. Today I bring you Bruno Talks from Bodypower HQ here in the UK, which means that my guest today is very much related to Bodypower. So much related that he's essentially the founder and Mr. Bodypower himself. He's known for a family man, his business ethics, and also his half-headed selfies. He is the man himself, the legend, Mr. Nick Orton.
Well, thank you very much. What a welcome.
Oh, you like
Am
it?
I really that well known for half-headed selfies? I did go through a period of taking way too many of those. And it's my bald head that I think I wanted to become synonymous with a picture where you could recognise me by the top of a bald head. That's
well, I think I need to add it because I think a lot of people have seen your top of your head. First, I'd like to say thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
It's an absolute honour because for me, I'm still what I classify as a Bodypower fan. I know it's been years since I've been coming, and I know we've known each other for a while, but it's to be able to be here at HQ, it's lovely. So an honour, and I'm very grateful. So thank you very much. But before we go into any of that Bodypower stuff, we were just been talking about it, but I'd like to know a little bit more about Nick Orton himself.
What do you want to know?
So
when I've done so much.
Here comes my list. But I mean, essentially, where did it all start for you?
Well, I mean, I'm what you would classically describe as a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 14. Okay. And even before that, I knew I was getting business ideas. I wanted to do all these things. I remember now, I was brought up in a single parent family. And, my mother was an alcoholic. She died a long, long time ago. So I very much grew up sort of knowing how to look after myself in all aspects, actually. But I remember now our neighbour, I went to we had dogs. I've still got a dog now, but we had dogs then, and I used to walk up to the village with my mum, and back then you could only get cans of dog food. And I'm walking back from the village with these bags laden with cans of dog food. It was bloody heavy, and I just remember it was a real chore for me to do that. So I went to my next door neighbour, who was a good few years older than me. And I said, I want to start a business, and I want it to be door-to-door delivery of dog food, because I'm fed up of going to... There was no delivery service back then, which shows you how old I am. And that was actually the first memory I've got of wanting to start my own business. Now, the sad news about that is he started it and I wasn't part of it.
Learning business early doors there.
Yeah.
It's, because you are... Even though we won't talk about Bodypower just yet, but you are renowned for your business strategies and so on, and obviously that's the reason why Bodypower is today. But it hasn't always, like for example you just described there, it hasn't always been fitness related, has it?
No, actually, really, I'm from the pharmaceutical industry. Right, okay. Actually, is how I would describe myself. Like I say, in the early days, I started my own businesses, and in fact, I funded my whole university. Back in those days, you couldn't get, you got grants, but you didn't have to pay it back. Yep. But they were very limited, and so I had to fund myself through university, and I did that by making meals for people because I knew how to look after myself. Yeah. Cleaning cars, like a proper car valeting business, and cleaning carpets, and I did that. I funded my whole university life. In fact, I did so well out of that, and I'm a massive car fan. So I ran 2 cars when I was a student, and paid for all of my studies. But the first job I had when I left university was with a major pharmaceutical company, and I went into as a medical rep, and I wanted to do that because My father was a dentist, and I was very interested in health and medical. But I couldn't get the grades to do dentistry or medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, you needed 3A's. You probably still do now, and I wasn't a straight A student. So I wanted to get something that was relatable. I knew I could talk. Or like all my relatives that used to say, you're the saying, the gift of the gab.
Yeah.
So they always used to say to me, "Oh, you, Nixie's got the," or Nicky, they used to call me, has got the gift of the gab. So I was like a salesman,
Yeah.
but I was really interested in health. So actually going to the pharmaceutical industry was perfect for me, and I loved it.
And this was in your 20s or before?
Early 20s.
Early 20s.
Early 20s, and not 1920s. My early
Not-
20s. Yeah.
Make
I'm
sure
50,
we're-
by the way. Anyone listening? So I'm just making jokes about my age because I feel so old.
Because
particularly-
you just turned 50.
Well, actually, I'm 51 in March.
Ah, okay.
So, a few months have gone past.
Well, I'm 43, so we're
You're a long way behind, mate. And you've got all your hair, so you've got nothing to worry about. Yeah.
That's why I keep it short. That's keep it nice. But so so from there, you're in your 20s. You've gone into this industry. You're still a local lad, so we're still from around here.
I am from around here. This is in a place called Honolulu. Actually, we're in the middle of nowhere here.
I've noticed.
This business park used to be a pig farm of all things, and now it's got like over 100 businesses on it. But I am from the Midlands.
Okay.
Solihull is sort of my home base.
Yeah.
I don't really have an accent because Solihull people don't generally have accents. We're just neutral. So, but I studied down in Plymouth. But when I was in the pharmaceutical industry, most of the regions that I covered were West Midlands type areas. So yeah, I was all from this area. And one interesting thing that I want to tell you about, because it'll link into later, is that I really got on well with Indian customers.
Okay.
So you'll know why I'm telling you that.
100%.
But for me, actually being a medical rep, and I did do really well with that pharmaceutical company. I progressed really fast, earned a lot of money with them. I was fortunate in that they'd got 2 big blockbuster drugs. It was a great company to work for. I got loads of good training, but I always wanted to start my own business. I wanted to leave it, but I wanted the training. And so I started a pharmaceutical consultancy as soon as I could, and then I left. I did what you've done now, left my job, became self-employed, and started this consultancy group, which went really well. I sold that years ago, and then I decided that I was going to do sponsored meetings. So all of the people that I'd come into contact and been dealing with when I worked in the pharma industry, I started contacting those people and did these sponsored meetings, which went really well. And a funny story, by the way, just another thing for any wannabe entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs coming up, to make ends meet, bearing in mind I'd left a well-paid job to do these things. Alongside, I started a company called Watermelon Catering. I don't know why I called it Watermelon Catering, but
it's an interesting name.
And I started a catering business alongside, and I was in my kitchen making these sort of platters, if you like, and I was selling these platters to pharmaceutical reps that I'd met, because I knew that they spent loads on these things. So I started providing food for all of those people. I never wanted to be a caterer, actually.
Of course.
But I used that as a means to an end to cash flow my business, which developed really well. So that those sponsored meetings that I was doing for the pharmaceutical people got bigger and bigger. And then I went to the NEC and started a show called The Pharmacy Show. And from then I never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what age would that have been? Or what would you
I was late 20s then.
Late 20s.
Yeah.
Because essentially anyone who does know you knows of the way that how you are with business. The way that you are, that if you go into any sort of business like you just explained there, you make it very successful. and you're also very hardworking to anyone that knows you. I mean, for early doors, if you could go back and say something to yourself or correct yourself in a way, would there be anything that you would change?
Yeah, I guess so. And really nice of you to say that everything I go into works. That's actually not true.
Okay.
I mean, not everything I do works out. Trust me. I've made some real balls ups and lost a lot of money. But I'm realistic. I'm not a genius. I make things successful through hard work. And I really do work hard, and I'm a really hands-on, lead by example type person. I'm not going to ask somebody to sweep a floor if I'm not going to do it myself.
Yeah.
That is a guiding principle for me. I'll always do what I expect other people to do for me. I'm going to do it. And so some of the things that I've done just haven't worked. So if I went back and told myself stuff, well, I would probably say, take a little bit more care in your decision making, because I was and probably still am a risk taker, and I would say that I probably take too big a risks sometimes. I think it's because I'm a salesman. Down deep, I'm a salesman. I can convince myself of anything.
Yeah.
So
so you're kind of like your own worst enemy.
Yeah, so it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. And I mean, I have to say, I've learnt from every mistake I've made.
Yeah.
And that's really important, that you use those failures to push yourself forward, and you don't make them again.
Yeah.
Albeit I probably have made the same mistakes several times, in some cases. But I think you've got to be realistic. Sometimes things that you try, they're just not going to work. But you got to pick yourself up and just get on with the next thing.
Yeah.
And if you can get, nowadays I'm investing in lots of things, as you know. If I can get 3 out of 10 right, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's a good ratio in my book. That's a good ratio. But that means 7 things fail.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what people don't see, do they?
They don't see those failures, thankfully. And you think that everything I do is brilliant, so that's great.
It's only because I'm going to get nasty later on.
I see.
No, because I think, before we start talking about the fitness side of things, I know that you obviously do it with your books and your, the seminars you do and stuff like that regarding business. For someone who is following you on that side of things, if there's like a, what would you recommend for someone who wants to start up at being an entrepreneur or being a businessman? Is there like a quick Nick to-do list of how to get started in that kind of way, or is there?
Well, there's not a quick list. I'll tell you that much. There's no shortcuts. Something I post about regularly. Particularly within the Instagram world. Where you see overnight successes that, they do happen, but they're very few and far between.
Yeah.
So you've got to be prepared for the long road. I would say, if possible, get a mentor, somebody that really fits what you want, and so they've got to be a similar type character. But at the same time, and this is a bit of a dichotomy really, in that you can't listen to people too much, because if I'd listened to people too much, I'd never have started Bodypower, for example, because the so-called experts told me it was never going to work.
Yeah.
And I could give you multiple examples of how people have said to me, "No, don't do that, Nick." And I've made it work.
Yeah.
So I think you need a mentor for certain guidance. Often, I see young entrepreneurs that they need somebody to say, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
Or do it this way. Fine.
Just
go with your idea.
Bit of guidance.
Yeah, just a bit of guidance. Not someone saying, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
Like, in other words, don't pursue that idea, because who's to tell you that your passion and your idea is going to be wrong? 100%. No one can tell you that.
Yeah.
But they can give you some shortcuts, and they can certainly say, "Don't sign that."
Yeah.
Because the sad reality is, and I've been a victim of this so many times, you get shafted by somebody who is more experienced than you, and it can cost you dearly.
Yes.
So look for a good mentor. And there are plenty out there, but there's also plenty of shite ones too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
again, not to
I've
put
met
too
a few.
fine a point on it.
We've met a few, yeah. And would you say that risk taking is part of becoming successful, even though it's kind of a negative as well? But is it?
It is. It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
You got to take some risks in life. And again, I do mentoring actually on a very small, limited number of people, but I will always say to people that to take a brave tablet. In certain times, take that brave tablet, take that risk, take that jump. If you believe in it strong enough, if you've done your research, and you're so confident, take the risk. Yeah. Because if you don't, you're going to have to live with the regret of not taking that. And that actually...
Or the not knowing.
Yeah, the not knowing. And again, I myself... let me tell you a story about one thing that I designed when I was... I don't know, I would have been about 12, 13, maybe 14 years old. And like I said earlier, I'm really into cars. So I saw that commercially, cars were getting wheel clamped. And so back in those days, that was a common sight where you park in the wrong place. They use them a lot more regularly than you see them now. Yeah. So you got commercial wheel clamps, and I designed a wheel clamp for personal use. It did not exist at all. No one had a personal wheel clamp, and I designed it all. I got all the stuff milled and made, and I tested it out on cars. So it was a lightweight wheel clamp that went over your car. You could take it off, stick it in the back of the car. Yeah. But I never pursued it. And, nowadays, of course, these are not commonly used. But, I mean, they have been really popular, as an anti-theft device. And I wish I'd, taken the risk and just pushed myself to do it. And I've got lots of examples of things that I...
It's quite amazing, because considering that we're sitting in your office, regarding all about fitness, and we're talking about wheel clamps.
Yeah, I know.
It's quite amazing the journey to the point.
Well, I'm not just involved in fitness now.
No, of course.
I mean, obviously it's a major part of my story and what I do now. But I'm still involved in lots of stuff now. I've got a really diverse portfolio, and I think that's the other thing it's important to have different revenue lines. But don't rush into getting those revenue lines. Yeah. I know that things can change at any time, and it can be completely beyond your capacity to put it right. Yeah. So actually, to be reliant on one revenue is high risk in itself. Yeah. So diversifying into other things is quite important, actually. Yeah. As your business develops.
And would you say to people that are listening business wise, that to open up their mind to not just focusing on what they actually know, but to try and go down a revenue of something they don't know as well?
That's a really interesting question. I think on balance, I'd say no, don't do that. Yeah. I would say that if you're setting out, you haven't been in what are they called? Commas.
He's now doing some funny things with his fingers.
I appreciate nobody can see this, but my fingers are twitching. But I'm not saying it hyphenated success, because who's to define what success is?
Yeah,
but
of course.
What I mean is, if somebody's starting off on their journey, actually your biggest plus point is your knowledge, your focus, your enthusiasm. Do that. Yeah. Because you develop something that you know a lot about, you have got a much, much bigger chance of making it successful. If you're genuinely passionate about stuff, you can do anything, actually. Yeah. When I said about starting the pharmacy show, I knew a bit about pharmacy. I was quite passionate about it. So for me, it made perfect sense. Yeah. I added on to that business a whole range of health-related shows. I did dentistry, I did veterinary, I did medicine, I did optics, and I created businesses out of those. Now, I didn't know anything about veterinary. Actually, I'd got pets.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, but I damn well learnt it.
Yeah.
And when I was in that market, you could ask me any question and I would answer it, because I know that if I can answer any question you're going to ask me, I got a much better chance of selling it to you.
Yeah, of course.
So I throw myself into an industry or like an interest, and make sure that I really research it and learn everything I can about that, because that ultimately is what's going to sell stuff. And I keep going on about cars here, but
Like them by any chance?
yeah, I do like them. I haven't mentioned that.
Yeah.
When you go into a car showroom and I know more about the car than the salesman, I always think, mate,
Yeah, that's not
learn about your product, because I know you don't do that with that car. So
Yeah.
what are you telling me for? So I think, yeah, you're going to go into something. You can do anything in any area as long as you're prepared to really, really learn about it and understand it.
And on the other side of like the business coin, which I see a lot of entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs doing, is the copy, where they're trying to be like somewhere else or try to do like something that something else has done. Am I right in saying that you are where you are today because you've done it your way?
Yeah, I like to be innovative.
Yeah.
In the exhibition world, I was the first person to combine trade and consumer shows. I'm not talking about Bodypower now, I'm talking about way back. So I'll give you an example of the dentistry show, which went on to be an enormous show.
Yep.
I sold that company in 2008 for a lot of money, and I'm very proud to have started that business. It's huge. In fact, it sold last year for 340 million, that business.
Wow.
I didn't have a lot of it then, so but I was very proud to see it continue to grow. And the example I was going to give you with the dentistry, I actually created for the first time in history it was like a perspex box at the NEC. I built a fully functional dental surgery in this perspex box. I built seats all around it, and I had a full dental implant take place live at the NEC.
Wow.
Which is still to this day a very complex procedure, but I brought it into the NEC. And my point is that that was innovation for me. It was really hard to do. It was very hard to get health and safety.
Very different as well.
It was completely unique. It was a great selling point for me, but I wanted to do it, and I put everything to make that work. We were the first people to show Botox. Dentists doing Botox in a live arena like that. And so innovation for me is very much part of my sort of psyche. And that's what I tend to build business around. It doesn't mean you've got to be innovative. But you've got to have some unique selling points.
Of course.
And so I like to use innovation as my unique selling points. Like I say, you don't have to do that. But actually a copycat, for me, it's really boring. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, why do I want to... I mean, I see somebody being successful with something, so I'll just copy it. Well, for me, there's very little interest in that.
I agree.
You can make a great business out of it, of course, but...
You can. And I think it's because I know that you mentioned it earlier about the whole Instagram thing. And I think that's what people see. They see that, on Instagram, everything's positive. And, people are doing amazing. And they always look like this. And they're always doing this. And they've got all the amazing cars. But what people don't see that happens on Instagram... and even on your Instagram, what they don't see is the hard work that goes behind that picture, or behind the expo, or behind you traveling. They don't see that, and I think this is where sometimes people are misled into what actually needs to be done to be either an entrepreneur or have a successful business.
Yeah, actually, I try to on my story, I try to get over to people. Just how much I have to travel to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So like when I'm in India, which I'm there very regularly, my travel schedule is just I don't know how to describe it. It's like sometimes I'll do 2 flights a day.
Yeah.
To make sure that I can go and see my various different
Yeah.
partners there.
Yeah, I remember that I commented on one when you were literally in the middle of, I don't know, it's like a crossroads in the middle of India, and you just did a circle. It was like evening, it was kind of dark. It looked like you were in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you were just into another car, and then off you go again for another meeting, another flight, and you could just see maps of where you're going to where you're going to.
Yeah, that's it. Because actually, it's really important to put that across to people that, you do just see parts of what I do, but
Yep.
actually there was a whole load of people actually, but
Yep.
also I'm working really hard myself to do this. It doesn't come easy
Yeah, of
to
course.
me or anyone actually.
And do you think people appreciate seeing that?
Well, I hope so. I mean,
do you think they appreciate you more as a businessman, knowing that you're... Because essentially, you could sit here if you wanted to. I mean, I was going to ask, and I will ask, but why haven't you completely stepped back and stopped?
because I love it.
Okay.
That's why. Do you know why I retired for a week once?
Way to go. Congratulations.
The company that I sold in 2008, I did do extremely well out of it, and I never needed to work again. But, after a week of doing nothing, oh my God, I was so bored. I was really bored. And for me, I love what I do. So I think, a lot of people have said to me over the years, "Oh, Nick, take a break, or,
Yeah.
take some chill time, or go away on holiday here." And I always think, why would I want to do that? I actually like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So,
That's important.
I know I'm lucky like that. I mean, but I have made my own luck.
Yeah, I was about to say, luck. I can't believe you just used the word luck.
Yeah, I don't like the word luck, and people will often say to me, "Oh, you're lucky," and I always say to them, "Mate, this is not luck.
Yeah.
Like, I've made my own luck."
100% agree with that.
I suppose what I mean is that it doesn't matter what position you're in, and what your background is. You can change things. Now, there's different degrees you're going to get to, and some people will start with nothing. But you are the master of your own destiny to a large degree, and I don't care what people say about how destitute or difficult things are for them. If you think that you can make a better life for yourself, and if you take actions to do that, you can achieve things.
Yeah.
In fact, I put a post on Facebook just the other day to that exact message. And one guy who I really respect for his nutritional knowledge commented saying, "That's nonsense. It's I can't remember what he put, something quite derogatory about me." Basically,
Unusual.
yeah, it's just basically he was saying in essence, that's not true. If you start from nothing and you're surrounded by poverty and theft and all these things, you're stuck in that. You need a helping hand. Well, I disagree, and I'll tell you what. I speak from experience. I'm not, I was not from a wealthy family. I didn't have anything. I started with nothing. But because I spent so long in India, and I have so many friends and colleagues over there, I know what it's like for those people because I know them.
Yeah.
And it is very easy for me to say on one hand from my position, but I am a person that really gets to know individuals. I ask them about their home lives. I'm not somebody that won't talk to somebody because they haven't got anything. I treat everyone as equal. We are all equal in this life. And some of these kids that I speak to in India in particular have nothing.
Yeah. Literally nothing.
Materially, nothing.
Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping them, and I've got countless examples of those people who have been able to make a really good life for them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen overnight.
Of course.
This is a long-term process.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where did we start. I can't remember. I rambled on for too long.
But I mean, before we go, and I'm going to go delve in a little bit more into the business. But we are just talking about you do travel a lot, you do work really hard, you retired for a week. But what do you do to relax? I mean, what do you do in your time?
I've got a dog. I've got
Yep.
a German Shepherd who is called Riley, and he's 18 months old, and I have to say, for the first 12 or 14 months, all I wanted to do was give it back. Because me and my almost-to-be ex-wife have got a dog share.
Yeah.
We've got a beautiful dog who's a chocolate Labrador, and
Lovely.
she's beautiful, but she's very, very different from Riley, who's a German Shepherd. Riley is hyperactive and, you know, constantly wants to play. So, I enjoy walking and outdoor pursuits. So I walk all the time with him. You know, I'll do 10-kilometer walks pretty much every day with him.
Yeah.
But I'm on the phone a lot during that time.
Yeah.
But for me, that's fine. You know,
Is
I'm
that
out
work
walking.
phone calls?
Yeah, work phone
Okay.
calls. Yeah. So you know, I'm using that time effectively.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it because I'm out walking. I'm entertaining Riley, and I'm throwing a ball for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I'll often do that. I love the gym, so I'll train 4 or 5 times a week, and obviously don't make calls when I'm doing that. I just put my earplugs in and listen to music and just you know, train, and I really enjoy the gym. So I suppose my biggest sort of non-work thing is gym and walking. I'm a runner as well, so I do ultra runs.
Well, I was gonna ask about that because you've put yourself down for your next one, isn't it?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a crazy. Do you know what, Phil, who's my colleague here at Bodypower, we did a ultra run together, and we. The great thing for me is being there was a team of 6 of us did it, and only me and Phil finished it, and the others were like in their 20s.
Wow.
So it was a great feeling of, okay, yeah. Maybe train harder, guys. Yeah, like me. So you know, do that, and I have actually signed up for a desert ultra, which is double marathon in the desert, and I signed up for it, and I thought, what have you done, mate? What have you done? What a stupid thing to sign up to.
That's an interesting one, that I must admit.
Yeah.
And when is that?
That is September, I think. So I need to do a lot of training for that.
Yeah.
A lot, because it's going to be hot. That's my biggest problem. The distance is no problem for me. I'm very good at endurance sports. Yeah. So, but it's the heat. I'm not good doing endurance sports in heat.
Yeah.
In fact, the last ultra run I did was over 30. It was over 30 degrees, and it was tough. I finished it, but it was tough. And obviously, the desert is pretty hot. I've heard.
Apparently
it's hot.
I mean, apparently.
Yeah.
It's not like you can stop off and get some drink or anything.
No. Well, actually, you can do.
Yeah,
you can do that. So the reason you go on organised ones is because, generally speaking, every 10k they've got pit stops when they'll have all sorts of food and drink.
Yeah.
So these aren't races. I should add. I am not racing anyone. I'm in competition with myself to prove to myself I can do double marathon in the desert.
I like that.
I'm
I love
not
that.
up against anyone else. You know.
Yeah, it's the best way to be.
Yeah. So.
And you know, we've talked about the business side of things. We've talked about that, and then I'd like to now kind of roll into essentially what is Bodypower, and because that is essentially a massive, it's impacted my life. I know loads of people that I speak to on a regular basis that are impacted by it, and you know, it's now what, 12th year this year?
12th year, yeah. Time flies.
I mean, that's many years.
It is, and I started it out of passion. As I said to you earlier, I didn't need to do anything again, but I had a certain expertise in running exhibitions, and also I knew back then that there was nothing like Bodypower.
Yeah.
There was nothing. So what you'd see at Bodypower is you'd see a whole range of different sports and fitness pursuits coming together under one roof. So, you know, we started off with power sports, so strongman, powerlifting, bodybuilding, you know, martial arts, CrossFit, there's the fitness games, there's fitness modelling, all these competitions and interest groups all coming together. So I thought to myself, I think I can make this work. And I suppose you could say the rest is history, but I was in a fortunate position in that I wasn't bothered about money.
Yep.
So I probably overspent on it to start with.
Yeah.
because exhibitions are hugely risky, by the way, hugely risky. You can really,
I didn't know that.
yeah, you can really screw it up. They're very expensive to start, essentially. So I started it bigger than you would normally,
Yep.
and put more money into it than I would normally do, and took more risks than I would normally, and that paid off.
Yeah.
And I suppose that the most important thing for me was, why do I want to do this?
Yeah.
Why do I want to put myself back into this stressful environment of doing exhibitions? Because it's a stressful job.
Yeah.
And I had this overarching aim. I don't know where it even came from. I wanted to influence a billion people. And back 12 years ago...
That's some target.
Yeah, 12 years ago I was thinking to myself, well, that sounds ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. How the hell are you going to do that?
Yeah.
But I set myself that goal, and I thought I wanted something big and long term. So ever since then, I've been pursuing that principle, and everything I've done since then has been, with Bodypower related, has been to add to the number. Now, it's not a science,
Of course.
and I'm not being measured by anyone else. It's only me
Yeah.
that's measuring it, so I'll know when I'm happy. It's one of the reasons why I went to India. So for anyone that doesn't know, we do run Bodypower. It operates all around the world, actually, with different type things. But my business in India is now very large.
Yeah.
And that's when I mentioned about getting on well with Indians earlier. I literally got on a plane, went to Mumbai, and went to the exhibition centre. Said I want to start a show here.
Yeah. And it's been great success ever since.
It's been phenomenal. We do, I don't know, up to 80 events right around the country. In those 12 years, I've expanded the brand. So I didn't just want to do an exhibition, by the way.
Yeah.
And I just want to do one little boast. Bodypower UK is the largest indoor fitness consumer show in the world.
Yeah.
And has been for a number of years, which I'm obviously very proud of. And
That's an amazing achievement.
I thank you. And we have been able to influence a lot of people, and I'm really pleased to hear that you're one of those people.
Yeah.
But I know that people tattooing themselves with Bodypower.
I can't believe when I see that.
Wow.
It's incredible.
The first time somebody came up to me and he pulled his arm up and he had Bodypower. My logo, which is actually, for anyone that doesn't know, it's just the letters Bodypower. It's bold, and I love the logo. But it was tattooed up his forearm, big. Took his whole forearm up. My first thought was, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
what have you done?" But he started to tell me that Bodypower changed his life, and it was at that point that it properly hit home to me. This is more than an expo, and it's become just more to people, which is amazing. And I'm very proud of that fact, and also very happy to share it with everybody like yourself. But everyone is part of it. It's not just me anymore. All these people feel a connection to it, and that's brilliant. I've gone on to develop the brand. So in India, I have a large chain now of stores, nutrition supplement stores, and they're going. We're opening them constantly. That's why I fly all the time, because I want to get to everyone.
And the gyms, of course.
I've got a chain of gyms over there. We have Bodypower Classic, we have Bodypower Silver, we have Bodypower Platinum, and we've got our own nutritional products over there. We have a factory that make our own range. We only do those in India, because I didn't want to upset our clients that support us in the UK. It's a different market. But we do really good quality products over in India. We've got a big athlete team. We have our clothes, of course. We have a big range of clothes that we sell. And I think last year we did something like 35,000 items of clothing, which is huge numbers. I am continuously trying to develop things that are going to get, one, they're big, good business. But two, that they add to the fitness community. Whether that is a new competition, or whether that is an online forum that aims to help people, or whether it's just bringing new companies into the industry and giving them a platform to sell to their customers. All of those things for me are really important, and I'm a firm believer in that I can create a good business and make money, and I make money clearly, but I'm not afraid to say that. I'm a firm believer that I can build something that's good for me and good for others. I want a win-win-win situation. That's always what I'm aiming for.
There's not many companies that get that. It's either really good for the clients or it's not as good for the employees or something. But it's very hard to get that win-win-win, as you put it.
Yeah, I want to win myself. I want my customers, who are exhibitors and sponsors, I want them to win. I have to deliver an audience to them for them to be able to do that. But ultimately I want the consumer to win, because I want to give them a brilliant day out. There's nothing better than organising a show and seeing people walk out with smiles. There's nothing better than seeing people run off that start line. And I don't know if you've seen it yourself, Bruno, but it always amazes me when people sprint into the show. And I find that quite funny, but it's also really nice to see. And you could say, well, you charge a lot for tickets, but I do have to charge. I try and keep the costs down as much as possible. We offer three or four different varied tickets. This year we've got the standard ticket, which start about £25. I think that's pretty good.
That's really good.
I mean, it could be cheaper, but I think, if you look at a football game, you could pay more than that to go and see a football match. So I don't think that's a bad price. If people want to get additional extras, they can go for the Team Bodypower ticket, which is a little bit more, or Team Bodypower Elite. Or I've actually brought back what we call an ultra ticket, which is like a backstage pass, and they get the green room stuff. They are expensive tickets, they are. But if you want, I'm bringing all these athletes over. If you want to sit with them and have lunch with them, at least there's an option now. But obviously I can't let everyone go there.
No, of course not. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I hear from other people, like that have that when we talk about body power. Like, I'm just excited to stick Body Power on my calendar every year. It's a big round circle, as you know, for my other half, Carolina. It was just as exciting for us all those years ago, and it's still exciting now. Obviously, we've got a lot more involvement in it now over the last couple of years, but everyone that I speak to, they all have their different views of why they go there, why they like it. But the main points that always come up is how they're able to meet their idols. It's how you've managed to get their idols and them in the same room and allowing these people to connect. And I just want to go back, because obviously we're talking 12 years now of Body Power. But how long before it became Body Power, 12 years ago, how long did it start you thinking, like, pen to paper, for it to go from pen to paper to the actual expo itself?
About a year. It was about a year. And in fact, I sold Body Power. Here's a story that you won't know.
Okay.
So when I sold my trade business that I was talking about earlier in 2008, I had Body Power as a concept. I'd worked it all up, me and the team here. So it's not all credit to me, by the way. Steve, my brother, was involved in that. Ollie, who he's now not part of the company, I bought him out, but he was a massive part of it. There was a guy called Matt Bevan who worked for me then. He was a big part of it. You got Phil here, and as a team together, we worked up the plans for Body Power, and we had all that, and we were actually, we were all into fitness, so this was the one that we really were keen on. We'd got a launch date of 2009. Was it May? It might have been May 2009 back in the start date. And the company that I sold the trade show business to also said they wanted it. But fortunately for me, my lawyer had said, you need to put a clause in there that if they don't start this, you can take it back at no penalty.
Okay.
So I said, fine, no problem, put that in there. Well, thankfully, we did do that, because straight after buying the business, they said, actually, we're not going to do any of your consumer shows, and they canned. Very sadly, I had some really good consumer shows. It wasn't part of their strategy. But I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
This is, something I've learned to make sure that I do a bit more research on the buyer. In that particular instance, they didn't actually want any of my consumer shows. They bought them to kill them, basically.
Yeah.
So that I would be able to focus on trade shows, because I had to stick with the business for a little while. But fortunately, I'd got this clause in the contract which meant I could take back Bodypower. I invoked that clause, which didn't go down very well with the buyers.
Yeah.
And I ended up in court. And
Wow.
we pursued it. Cost me a lot of money, but I won because it was black and white.
Yeah.
They tried all sorts of techniques, and they were a very wealthy organisation, so they threw a lot at it to try and stop me.
I bet.
But I was absolutely reticent that this was one that I was going to start. And so, we had about a year's worth of planning. We were all very passionate about starting this thing. We didn't know how it was going to go. Like I say, no one had done anything like this before. So if you can imagine that there were strongman events, there were powerlifting, there was bodybuilding, there were martial arts, but no one had put them all together ever.
Yeah.
So we were thinking, well, why not? Why shouldn't all these people interact? Because surely a martial artist wants to see how to build muscle, and surely a bodybuilder wants to see how they can get more flexibility.
Yeah.
So to us, it seemed like it was actually quite logical, but it just never been done before.
Yeah, so you naturally, it just sounded like it made sense, and it should have been done.
It should have been done. It just somebody hasn't done it, and that's another thing for entrepreneurs and young business people that were looking for ideas. Just because it's not been done does not mean you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because I see, a lot of the time I'm constantly coming up with ideas, and I'll just mention them. A lot of them I don't pursue. Some of them are ridiculous, actually. But people all say, "Well, why hasn't anyone done it before? It can't be any good." And I always say, no. That is not the case. Basically, it could well be that someone's just not come up with that. It might be really obvious.
It's so obvious that
but no one's thought of it actually. So, don't not do something just because someone else hasn't done it.
And why Bodypower? Why the name Bodypower? Was anything particular, or is it just something that you just came up with?
It defined exactly what we wanted to achieve. We wanted a name that we could build on. Actually, we wanted a masculine name, and we did. In fact, we did so well with that. I mean, it is a very masculine brand. It actually has caused us a problem. 12 years ago, we aimed the show at men because that was our target market, and actually women weren't that into it.
Yeah.
There were small pockets, but it was a tiny proportion compared to the men that were in these markets. And so we developed the whole brand as a masculine brand, and we were getting 90% plus males. But we wanted to encourage women, so we actually, I don't know if we did it. Actually, girl power. So we had girl power at the show every year. I think probably from the third show we had girl power, so that we were doing things that would encourage more women to get into fitness. And of course, now it's it's equal.
Yeah.
It's absolutely equal, as it should be. And let's say the problem was caused in that we were too masculine.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be like a unisex brand.
Yeah.
And we've done pretty well now. Now I think we had like a 60-40 split male to female, which is pretty good going.
That's really good going.
And I think now, I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a masculine brand now. It is a strong brand.
Yes.
I'd say, its identity, if you look at it, it's a strong brand. But actually, hopefully it appeals as much to men as it does to women.
Yeah. And I think it does. And even though it was, and it is, as you said, it's the biggest one in the world. But would you, if you looked back 12 years ago, did you think it would be as successful as it is today?
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that.
Honestly, it sounds really conceited and arrogant, but genuinely, I did, because that's what I set out to do.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I set out to make the best show in the world. That's what I wanted. And second best is not acceptable, and I would have, I would have just kept working until I achieved that. To be honest with you, so yeah, I mean, I get asked that a lot. Yeah, it's no surprise to me.
Yeah, I
hope that doesn't come over arrogant, but
I asked you knowing too well what you would answer to it, because we have known each other a while, and I think one of the biggest things that I found from you, I met you when we were standing at Bodypower the very first time, which would have been 6 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. Been so many, can't remember which one it is. And I didn't know who you were, but I saw you were walkie-talkie, just managed to start chatting away, and you were running around in circles like you do. But I did find later on, the more places that I met you, you were very open to give time. You were very although you were very busy, you were very good at giving time for people. Is that something else that is very important to you, to give back time as well as, even though you're that busy?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we start the interview, I was saying to you, I get so many messages.
Yeah.
And, I honestly, I get 800 plus messages daily.
Yeah. That's a lot.
And sometimes it's a lot more than that. That's probably a minimum level that I get. And I've got this horrendous OCD that I have to apply. And I've got this technique. I've sort of learnt how to reply quickly, and so I've adapted to certain ways of what I put. But I really think that I guess, and again, I really don't want to come across as conceited, but I sort of feel like I've got a responsibility to talk to people. I mean, that does sound. I don't know. It sounds bad, but
it doesn't sound bad.
So many people who are in senior positions, they don't talk to people, and they look down on people that are starting out. And I am absolutely of the opinion that we are all equal. And I might drive a bigger car, but that really doesn't. That's really. It's just a material thing.
Yeah.
We're just people, and if I can help somebody with any advice, I actually enjoy doing that anyway. I love, for yourself, I've been following your journey. I've loved to see how you've developed. We were talking about Dan Wines earlier.
Yeah.
I love to see how he's developed, and it's the same with so many people. It's very satisfying to me to see that people have gained something from something I've done.
Yeah.
And so, sure, I stop people. I'll talk to people. One of the funny things is that after the show in the UK every year, I always get people saying, "Oh, I saw you at the show, but I didn't talk to you," and I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, well, you're too busy," or I'm like, "Mate, just stop me." But what's the worst I'm going to say is "Hi, I'm rushing to something, but great to see you," which is probably what I would say if I was busy.
Yeah.
But I like hearing about people's stories, and also it keeps you really grounded. So one of the things with Bodypower, but actually with any business, is you have to keep it updated. If I kept Bodypower the same every single year, it would be out of date.
Yeah.
And actually talking to a wide variety of people from different backgrounds, I get a real sense of what people are looking for. And so it's a great source of information, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that's the kind of the next point I was going to go to, because obviously we're talking over the course of the weekend, you get 100,000 people come through the door, give or take?
That, yeah.
It's a lot of people. How do you even try to cater for that many people to improve it year on year? Because I know last year was one of the biggest years for Bodypower, because essentially it changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there was a lot of people that loved it. I'm one of them. And there's a lot of people that disliked it.
Yeah.
But irrelevant of you changing that, you're still going to get that if you just continued, or an athlete didn't come because they came the year before. how do you continue to give that to the people?
Well, it is a it's not a science. As you say, last year we had a radical change. Actually, I really wanted to shake it up.
Yeah,
basically,
and you did.
And it's for the changing market. So every year we tinkered with it to keep it updated. But I knew that at some point I had to really do something majorly big. So from an organiser's point of view, it was a massive change.
Yeah.
And I also knew that some people would love it, and that some people aren't going to like it because they don't like change. And that's just human nature. People don't, they like familiarity and they like things. But those people, I hope, will continue to come back and will start to love the new layout. And we've been able to make things more accessible, less crowded in certain areas, spread things out, it's a balancing act with an exhibition. The hard thing, and the reason why I said earlier about it's a stressful job, is like if I started a shop, I can change it daily until I get it right. I there's no real time limit. Obviously, I want to get it right as quick as possible. But if it's 3 months down the line and I realise the till's not in the right place, I can shift it, right?
Yeah.
But with an expo, you cannot do that. I got 3 days. If I get it wrong, that's it.
Yeah.
I do not have a second chance. I cannot move the entrance. I've chosen that entrance. That's it.
Yeah.
Like if it screws up, tough.
Yeah.
And so, every year I'm not going to get everything right. I'm going to make some mistakes. But the challenge is obviously trying to make them the smallest amount of mistakes. And
of course,
I just use my experience to know what human nature is. Like where they're going to turn when they walk through that door, what time are they going to turn up at, how many security do I need, how many tensor barriers do I need, what can I put around the entrance that's not going to interrupt the flow, what type of tickets do I offer, and how's that going to be checked, and how do I make sure it's secure, and what about the health and safety of people, how many medics do I have to have on standby, or when does the carpet get laid? When are my cleaners going to get in? How many catering pods am I going to need, and where am I going to put them to minimise the queues? And where are my key athletes going to be? Because if they're all together, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Because you cannot move in that area. So that would be one example of where I've messed up in the past, and you'll have witnessed it yourself.
Yeah.
Where a stand brings too many big name athletes. Really, really hard to manage that process because when you get an athlete that you didn't necessarily think was going to be as popular as they are, and you get people queuing for 3 hours, for me that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
My visitors should not have to queue for 3 hours to see somebody, but invariably it's going to happen.
And I guess you don't, because obviously these athletes are well known, but there's obviously athletes as well that are up and coming, and they could be coming to Bodypower, but obviously by the time they get to Bodypower, they are very much sought after.
Yeah.
And you're not expecting that. And I've seen that happen quite a few times. And I remember when we, with the way our journey started in Bodypower, where, I didn't even know about Bodypower. I went there because Carolina wanted to meet her idol, which was Michelle Lewin. And I remember the stand that she was on was just, the queue was endless. But that's because it was one of those years where she was there. It's a female icon. It was huge. We queued. But then I've noticed that over the years from then, you're now getting athletes that come up really quickly. And then all of a sudden, they've got so many followers in such a short period of time. I mean, I guess you can't really deal with that situation because you're not to know, or do you have to keep on it to make sure you know about this stuff?
You have to keep on it as much as you can. Do the research, find out who's big, what's their likely turnout, and also something we've learned: how long's the athlete going to talk to people?
Yeah.
So I'll give you one example, like Christian Guzman, who's a great guy, a very good businessman by the way, and he comes regularly to the show, huge following, gets loads of people to him, but he's a chatter. Good for him. He does talk. He talks a lot. He talks a lot more to his fans and followers than others do. That is a major problem for an organizer.
Yeah.
Major problem, because there's nothing I can do about that. there is something I can do about it, and that makes sure that his stand is in a position where I've got queuing that's not going to interrupt other people.
Yeah.
So we've become pretty good at making sure that queues go in the direction that are not going to affect other stands.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing the market, knowing the people that are coming, knowing the layout, knowing what people are going to do. All of those things are really very important to running a smooth running operation.
Yeah.
And but it can be quite stressful, because there might be somebody there, and I can tell you this year. Well, I can't tell you this year who's going to come yet because we haven't announced them. But
I was gonna see if I can get you to drop a couple of names, but no, it's I do know.
Try. I'm quite excited. Put it like that.
So who's coming this year?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. Did I not mention? Actually, what I've learned, I mean, I've got a tendency for blurting out things that I shouldn't, but I'm not going to do that today, unfortunately for you. Sometimes you can actually really screw a deal up by saying a name too early. And to be fair to the companies that are bringing them, I mean, when we're bringing them ourselves, it's slightly different, but these things are all better to have planned releases. Often if a company's bringing them, they've got their own PR schedule, which we fit in with.
Yep.
Pretty much. We work together with them. I think the interesting thing this year is there's going to be some big names, some people that you might not expect, because the industry's been going through such a big change.
Yeah.
Major change, and it became quite difficult with athletes actually, but it's going to be a very interesting year, I can tell you that much.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Although I look forward to every year, so it's one of the, it really is. But so we've kind of seen it. We know that we've got Bodypower coming in May. Bodypower in India is doing very well. And what are the major plans for Bodypower India? Because at the moment you've got gyms there, you've got the shops we discussed earlier, you've got all these kind of like fitness events.
Well, I can give you one scoop.
Oh, yes.
I in my mind, I've had a plan for quite some time, but it's developing faster than I anticipated it being. But I'm building the Bodypower University.
Wow!
So it's a big project, and I've been involved. Part of Bodypower is about education, so you'll know that at the expo in the UK and at other events, we do really good quality education, and we get the world's leading experts on nutrition and training and supplementation to come and talk at the show, and we give that education, including the tickets, and so I know a lot of those people, and some of them I've known for many years. What I want is that I want to build I can't do a university straight away, by the way. I have to build it up. You can't just build a university. So I'm working in partnership with a university operator in India to effectively have a wing of an existing university, which is our sort of springboard to a full-on Bodypower University. And my aim is to be the world's leading fitness educator. So, that again is a long-term plan. I will
watch this space. That's
watch
amazing.
This space, and again, it's a win-win-win situation. In fact, this is a win-win-win-win situation, Bruno. So I hope to win because it's a good business model. The lecturers and the content providers should win. The opportunity in India is massive, and none of the world leading people are really taking advantage of it because they don't know how to, and they can't get out to people. Well, I can. I can do it there, and I've been there for 8 years. I'm very well networked in that country. And so it's a win for the lecturers. It's going to be a win for the students because they are going to get world-class education at last in that amazing country, and we'll be bringing them courses that they can't get elsewhere. So
that's incredible.
There's a win for them, and it's a win for the public because there are an enormous number of gyms in India. there's an enormous. I mean, still, they're still probably 10 years behind the UK in terms of the market development, but it's growing so fast. It will be the world's biggest fitness market in the future in India. I have absolute confidence in saying that. It will take a few more years yet. But what it means is that then the public will benefit because their trainers are going to be better educated.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a win-win situation.
Wow. And timescale with that. I mean, are we? Is this something it's in place, or is this something that you are?
It's at contract stage right now.
Wow.
Now, it is a big project. It will take a few years, actually.
So there goes your retirement.
Yeah. Yeah, there goes my retirement. But do you know, again, for me, and all the things that I said earlier, absolutely spot on in terms of everything I'm trying to achieve in life. That epitomises it. So I'm really excited about that. In other developments, we're heading towards 200 stores. So we'll have those in place. I've got Bodypower cafes.
That's incredible.
I'm expanding that. The gyms, I'm trying to do a big expansion now on the gyms. I'm trying to buy an existing chain actually. I can't give you any more details, but that will add a lot of gyms to the chain. And we've innovated in that country specifically with Beachbody.
Yeah.
So it was a new,
I saw that. That was
new
good.
style of competition. Over 5,000 competitors.
That's incredible.
Registering for that, and we've now introduced a new competition. The first of which happens, I think it's the 2nd of March, and I'm still there in India because I'm going in a couple of weeks on another tour, and it's called Street Fitness. Actually, it would only work in India and some of the other Asian countries, but effectively, I mean, the best way for me to put it is sounds a little bit derogatory, but over there, it's not. It's for skinny guys, basically. So there's a lot of potential competitors in India, in particular, who are very, very lean, and they can't build up because of the diets and the lack of finance to then really bulk up. They stay lean. And they do manual work, and so they just stay lean, but they're in great shape. Yeah. So really, street fitness is about the lean physique. It's just an upper body competition, symmetry, etc.
So is it allowing? So you're giving more opportunities for everyone across the board.
Yeah, because though that type of physique, they never get anywhere with. I mean, Fit Factor's massive in India, by the way. Yeah. And Beachbody's become massive. They're never going to win those competitions because they don't have enough muscle. So I wanted to do something to allow those people to be able to compete, and I might say compete naturally. So there's a major problem worldwide which I take some responsibility for, not because I supply it obviously, but because I'm a promoter of a lot of shows. So steroid use is a major problem for us, not only here in the UK but in India in particular. And my responsibility there, I believe, is to develop more and more shows where actually natural athletes get more chances. Yeah, that's a great idea. Street fitness is absolutely down there. You take gear; it's not going to help you at all. Actually, same for Beachbody, by the way. Beachbody is very much a natural competition. We don't test anybody, but actually the physiques that have won are very pleasing natural physiques. Yeah. So again, trying to do something there myself, trying to influence the market.
Because you are there a lot, and you spend a lot of time there. And I remember it was I'm not sure exactly when, was it maybe 2018 when you stepped down as the CEO? I think it was it 2018?
Well, I put out I put out a post about stepping down as the CEO, but I actually never really happened.
Never, and I remember it caused all sorts of controversial.
I was really surprised, and I don't know. It gave me a very warm feeling, really, because I was very surprised at the amount of.
It was incredible. It went.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't want that to happen, so I was really touched actually by that, and I didn't I didn't step down at all.
No.
Actually, I just thought, oh, I hope this goes away. But still, people think that I've stepped down now. But
Yeah,
I didn't talk about it after that because I say so many people contacted me that I just thought, do you know what, I can't do that.
Yeah. I guess that stems back to that you can't retire. You can't, you can't take it easy. Essentially, this is what you do. But on a negative side of things, one thing I do want to talk about is that you do work extremely hard, which I mentioned before. But it does come with its negative bits because of your health, and you have had some struggles with your health. I remember that time where you were rushed into hospital and stuff like that. I mean, are you fit?
Well, that was me being really stupid.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you, that you're right to identify that, and that is my own stupidity, and I should have gone and got this particular issue checked out, but I thought, nah, I'll be fine, and then I went on a tour of China.
Yeah.
Big mistake, and that caused me a huge issue, but really big issue, and I was hospitalised, of course.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's the only issue I've ever had health-wise. I mean, touch wood, I've always been really healthy. I do live a healthy life.
Yeah.
I'm not into drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I sounded boring as hell right now, but
Cheers.
But, yeah.
While you're sipping on your water, and I've got a cup of tea.
But I do live a healthy life, and because one, I believe in it, but two, actually, I don't feel a need to do those things, and I'm not looking down on anyone that drinks or smokes
of course
or does anything. You can do what you want, so nothing to do with me. But for me personally, and I mentioned at the start of this, I had an alcoholic mother, so I have experienced that. That's why I don't drink, and I do get asked a lot. I never say that, by the way. So it's the first time I've actually said that for a long time. But for me, I don't want to drink.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do have a few cheeky sangrias when I'm in Spain. So I've got a home over there, as you know, and I'm there quite regularly. And it's the only place I ever have an alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
Just a sangria,
I'm the
which
same.
is just like pop, So I just really cared.
It's like pop.
But
The sunshine makes it better.
it did make me laugh. Actually, I went to the GP, and this was a few years ago, and he said, "What do you drink?" And I was like, "No, I don't touch alcohol." He said, "Well, I recommend that you do have some red wine." I thought, "You idiot." Honestly, it was just, I just thought, you absolute idiot. Why would you tell someone that doesn't drink to start drinking?
Yeah, at the bottle loads.
Yeah, I just thought, actually there had been some research at the time. To be fair to him, there had been some research to show that red wine intake was actually quite good for reduced heart attacks. But still, I just thought, you plonker.
Yeah.
So I think when I say I'm a hard worker, I do work hard. I believe I do have a good balance.
Good.
Because
that's important.
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at is work life balance.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. I'll be going to India again in just under 2 weeks' time, and I am there every 6 weeks, and I go for 2 weeks. For years, when I've been going there for 8 years, for probably 5 years, I just worked when I went there, and I just work.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? I'm learning about the culture here, but I'm not seeing much. I just see the inside of 5-star hotels, and that is really quite boring once you've been to a few of them. And after that, I thought, every time I come over here, I'm going to see something new, and I'm going to make sure that I learn more about the culture.
Nice.
And there's a really diverse culture in India, massively diverse.
Yeah.
And just to give you a live example, so this time, my schedule is manic.
Yeah.
But I've said to Pradeep, who runs Bodypower India for me, I want to go do an event in Shimla, because Shimla is a beautiful place that I've not managed to get to. It's in the mountains in North India. I have loads of business up in North India, so I needed to go up there anyway. And I said, let's do an event in Shimla. Let's get our athlete team there. I get to see it. I like the athlete team, so I'd spend it with people that I like spending time with anyway. We'll do some fitness stuff, which would be great for me as well.
Yep.
We've got a trek, which I love to do, and we could do some business as well. So we'll do that, and then after that, I'm going to a place called Varanasi, which again is a city that I haven't been able to get to yet. It's actually the oldest city in the world. It's on the banks of the Ganges.
Oh wow!
And it's somewhere culturally which is really important to a lot of Indians. So I am going there, and I'm spending 2 nights there. That will be pretty much chill out and see the place. And I'm going with my senior team. I have a photographer all the time in India and the videographer as well. So I wouldn't say it's 100% chill.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
So there's a good balance there.
It's a good balance. So I think I'm doing what I can to make sure that I relax a little bit.
Good.
Look after myself, because, I completely agree with you that, it can't just be work.
Yeah. And I think the reason why I do is because I know that a lot of people see you as that hard-working person. But obviously what I want to try and do is get that message across, on this podcast, that people understand that but you do exactly what you just said there. You do have that balance where you can go somewhere, you can travel, but you can also essentially have like a to-do list where you are seeing places in India that you've never seen before while you're still on your business trip.
Yeah.
And you're
absolutely.
still getting the job done, you're still doing what you want to achieve, but you're also appreciating and enjoying life, which is important.
Yeah. And, I try to use my time really effectively. I'm sure lots of people do this, but, I will answer, I'm on my phone when I'm on the loo. So,
yes,
yeah.
I agree.
If you're messaging me, I could be there. But
that's a first, everyone.
I don't take any calls on the toilet, obviously. But, I just think, well, it's dead time, so I might as well get through some of the messages. I've got more time for myself then.
Yeah.
So I can play with Riley and, I can go for another walk, I can go in the garden, I can run. I've got more time to do that. There are dead times in people's... good story, like plane journeys.
Yeah.
For me, I can sit there and do nothing. I can just watch TV on the plane, right?
Yeah.
10-hour flight. Or I can split my time up and do some work while I'm there as well. And I find it a really, really good way to have quality time where I'm not being bothered by other things. I can really think about work things. I can think about social things. I can do a little bit, watch a film and chill out. But so often I see people get on, they just go to sleep. And I'm like, now if it's a night flight, I suppose fair enough. But, when you get on a flight at 8:30 in the night and they're asleep by 8:45 and they don't wake up in the morning, I often think to myself, wow, well, one, I wish I could sleep that long. I mean, I don't need to sleep that long. Why would I? But actually, I've used my time really effectively. What have you done? Well, you've just been asleep for the last 10 hours.
Yeah, it's very true. And I know that we've got this... You talked about the university, but what is the next... I mean, is that the next big thing? Or have you got something that... what is the next big thing for you? Or is that it?
No, that's not it. I have a company called kicksports.com. I own 50% of it with a brilliant guy called Lee Matthews, who's ex-world champion kickboxer. He's a brilliant businessman himself, actually. And he has a chain of martial arts schools all around the country called BMMA, British Military Martial Arts. And together we run this company called Kicksport. We have huge plans for it. It's a brilliant company, actually. We sell all sorts of martial arts equipment online. But our next big move for that is to take that internationally. So we're just looking at how we appoint distributors internationally. That is exciting. And I love that world, actually. I love that martial arts world. I'm trying to get more into that. I've got that. I've got some property stuff.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not really into that. But, it's something that I am involved in. Then, I've got quite a few new shows that I'm launching. I've still got different investments in different areas, but there's some new ones that I'm going to be launching.
Yeah.
And we're also getting back into the pharmacy market. So I sold that years ago, obviously, however many years ago it is. We're going back into that market.
Interesting.
Yeah, and... what else? Oh, all sorts of things.
So it
I mean,
it doesn't sound like you're taking your foot off the gas at all.
no way, no way. I mean, I love to have lots of stuff going on. That's the way I operate best.
Yeah.
I'm really good at multitasking.
Yeah.
So I am
glad you are.
best
I'm
when
shocking.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you are. I'm shocking at it.
Well, I don't actually. You know, not that many people are good at multitasking,
Yeah.
and if you're not, actually, you're better to focus on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have a great team behind me that I can delegate things to, and I'm at an age where some of these people have worked with me for 20 years, so I completely trust them, and you know, I can talk to them. They're not so good at multitasking, so I give them something to do, and they'll work on a project. For me, I am actually good at managing multiple things.
Yeah.
So that works for me. And as I've grown older, I've been able to do that better and better. I think it's just something maybe that comes with age if you really push yourself to do it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And now, like for people, because obviously we talked about you getting messages and stuff like that. But one thing I did want to get across, or ask you, should I say, is you're very direct as well. As in, you're very open-minded. you say, you know, there's no hidden punches with you. You say it how it is, which is great because then people know. Is it? I mean, for people out there, do you get a lot of people who are after things for free? Are they? Do you get a lot of people trying to get the buck, trying to jump the ladder because they?
Of course, yeah.
Because obviously, a man of your level, you must be getting it a lot.
I think it's human nature to try and latch on and take for certain people. I do get a lot of that, as I'm sure do lots of other people. I suppose what I like the people that I really warm to are the people that don't expect everything for nothing.
Yeah.
Like I expect. Well, I go into a partnership agreement. I mean, I've got dozens and dozens of partnership agreements, right, with different people all around the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I don't know how many I've got, but I've got a lot. Every time I form a partnership, I'm looking long term. I want a long term relationship, and I always go into a partnership trying to give more than they're giving me, because my way of thinking is if I can deliver more than you give me, you're going to want to stay in this partnership.
Yeah.
What I want is a partner that thinks the same.
Yeah. So you're constantly in.
So if you're both on the same page with that, then I don't think you can go wrong, really. And I get messages every day of help me or give me this or sponsor me this. And they're not going to get anywhere with me, really. I want somebody who's willing to give as well. If somebody's willing to give, then I'm going to be much more willing to give back.
Yeah.
And I think again, you come to recognise people that are just after certain things. They just want to take. I am a sucker, unfortunately, for a sob story, and because I've experienced things myself, I really can empathise with people in certain situations, and I do like to help people that I genuinely think I can have some sort of impact on.
Yeah.
And so I have run foul of that as well. I have, and I could give you several examples of, for example, here at the Bodypower office. There's one guy, I won't mention him, although I should name and shame him, but I won't. But
What's his name?
Don't tempt me. He worked for me for a long time, actually, and I considered him to be a friend. And when I sold my business in 2008, it was that sale that in the due diligence they said to me, "You're taking backhanders," and I was like, "No chance would I ever do anything like that," because I am not built that way at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, cut a long story short, it was this guy. He'd worked for me for years, and he'd been taking backhanders for years, money straight out of our pockets, even when the company had been struggling, in the early days. and I sacked him. And then a few years later, he came to me with a sob story. And bearing in mind, I'd been really good friends with him, and I re-employed him like a dick. But against what my colleagues said, and he did the same thing again.
Oh, no.
And I don't know what the point of my story was. Probably just that, you know, you can help. Sometimes you help people, and I suppose I've learned that I have to be really careful.
Yeah.
And it's a sad reality. You have to be really careful because some people actually they don't have the right principles and the right motives. And as much as I don't want to be like that, I suppose I'm quite not standoffish, but I'm quite cautious person.
Yeah.
I've become more and more cautious, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, but I think invariably once bitten, twice shy, and it's happened to me quite a few times. Yeah. I do get those people that come to me and they don't want to give anything. But I don't think I'm caught out very often.
Yeah.
But I've got loads of different things that I can help people with. But it's got to be the right sort of person.
Of course.
You know. Yeah.
Wrapping it all up now, kind of like the final message. But I'd really like to have kind of final message on two kind of terms. One, like anyone that's listening and follows your kind of business background, you know, what message would you tell someone who's starting up in business? You know, just a Nick Orton special kind of message, just to, you know, if they're starting up but they're not really sure what to do, a message for that. And then another message for anybody that is either thinking about coming to Bodypower or does come to Bodypower, and what, you know, Bodypower is going to be happening over this year, maybe next. Okay,
well, the first one's really easy because I think, you know, if you're thinking of starting a business, the best advice I can do is follow your heart, and but make sure that your brain is engaged. Do your research, but it's all about energy and passion. I mean, I'll ask people quite often, are you a hard worker? Almost everybody says, yeah, I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
Almost everybody. Really question whether you are. You know, really question. And quite often I'll say, well, do you play video games? And those people that say, yeah, I'll say, you're probably not as hardworking as you need to be, because you're starting a business, but you still got time to play video games. No, I'm sorry. It's one of those things you've got to give up.
Yeah.
Now, that is possibly a silly thing to say, because some people say, well, actually, that's my downtime. That's fine. But I think it's a good sort of overall message to say that look at how you spend your time. Are you really hardworking? Are you really dedicated enough? And if you are, if you can say genuinely, hand on heart, I am going to absolutely go for this with 100% conviction, do it.
Yeah.
So that would be my message.
That's a good message.
And the second one was about Bodypower.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you do come. It's at the NEC in Birmingham, and the dates are possibly the 15th, 16th, 17th
That's
of
right.
May. Is
Yeah,
that right?
You
probably know better.
Yeah,
than I do.
because it's the normally it's on the 12th, isn't it?
Right. So it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yep.
And, you know, it is a brilliant weekend. 3 days. It's a packed show full of content. What I would say is get there early. Try and plan out what you're going to do. If there's certain athletes that you particularly want to see, make sure that you get there and plan in when you're going to see them. That is actually quite a difficult thing to do, because you might not necessarily know when they're going to be there.
Yeah.
I would say take some sort of order in how you work the show. It's a big 60,000 square meters. It's a huge show.
Yeah.
This year we've got a new hall. So we've got hall 16, which is actually separate from the main halls. And in there's National Fitness Games, some martial arts. There's the competitor registrations. And when you walk from the car park, you will be guided to walk through that. If you come by train, you won't come through that area. But if you come by car and you walk in, or off one of the buses, the walkway goes through it, so you'll see it. But if you come by train, there's another hall you can visit. So you plan your meeting out and plan your visit out to make sure that you see everything, because there's 400 plus exhibitors there, loads and loads of stands, and enjoy it and get involved as well. Loads of the stands there do competitions and challenges, don't they? So they're brilliant to have a go at. And ask the people on stand stuff if you don't know stuff, like if you want to find out about supplements, ask them, because they're there to talk to you, and they're the people that know a lot of detail. Try and get to some of the educational seminars. There's loads of them, and some brilliant speakers. Some are better known than others. Don't just go to the best known speakers, because some of the less well known people have got amazing stories to tell, and that's why we put them on. I mean, it's difficult for someone to get a speaker slot at Bodypower. We choose them because we look at what they've done and think, yes, that's going to work. So loads to do, loads to take part in. Have a big breakfast, because you can it's a lot of walking. Do you know what? Every year we have a competition with the staff to see how much we walk over the period of the show. And I think it was last year that the winning one of my team had walked 154 kilometres over the course of the show. I think I was like 95 kilometres I'd done. So I was towards the bottom, but you'll find me in the green room. My feet are, of course, doing.
So. You say that you're walking around more than others. I mean, I've seen you lot in the back, like a back office, in the green room. I've seen you my journey from Bodypower right from the beginning, where I've seen it as just turn up, go and see an idol, then go home, to really now getting involved in running stands and all sorts. But to see you guys, I don't think people appreciate what goes on and how you are running around. Last 2 years, I've watched both you do the countdown where the people rush in. Oh, right. I've seen that twice now.
I love doing that.
That's an amazing to see all those people come in. But I see you guys running around, and it's a big haul, and I get tired just walking back to where I'm going to, let alone how you're running around. And every time I see you, running around in circles. So it's incredible.
And obviously on the Friday night, we have the pink party.
Oh, of course.
So we have Friday night.
That was great.
Well.
That was great
I need to go there.
You need to
in
go
fact,
there.
Actually, there's me saying that I never drink. Actually,
I saw you champagne.
One of my business partners in India is a guy called Sahil Khan, who's a huge star over there.
Yeah.
He came over and he's like, Nick, come on, have a drink with me. I was like, okay. So I thought, do you know what? I will have one. Well, because I'd been I was absolutely shattered, not eating anything. I had this glass of champagne, which I don't even like. It went straight to my head. Were you there?
Yes, I was there, yeah.
Right, well, I have to do a speech. Well,
yeah.
It was terrible, I think. I can't even remember what I did, because I did half a glass of champagne. I was drunk. And they said, Nick, you need to go and do your speech. I was thinking, I don't know what to say. So I just went on, I think I slurred a few words. Yeah. And
it was a breakdancing afterwards. That was
So this Friday night and Saturday night we do the event at Emporium Gym.
Yeah,
it's always brilliant. The athletes go there. It's packed out, and then straight after Emporium Gym we have our event at Nouveau. Now I don't actually go to that because I can't really stand by then, so I have to go and relax and then really enjoy my Sunday. But it for anyone that's coming, it's a great event. And what I like, you are within your family. We are a family. It's such a nice natured show.
Yeah,
it's like it's hard to describe. But don't you think it's like everyone's sort of, even if they're in, you've got a bodybuilder or a strongman or a martial artist or a CrossFitter, there's sort of a real commonality.
Yeah.
For everyone that's there. And that's what I love, and the atmosphere there always just blows me away.
I think it's kind of like the fitness umbrella, because everyone's kind of really hyper. They're there for that reason, and I think that one of the biggest factors for me was when I first went there and I was like seeing my idols, when they opened their mouth and spoke, it was just like, oh my god, they're speaking to me, and it's when people realise that they can actually have time. Not just with their idols, but everyone else around them. You stand in the queue and you get to know people. You make friends, like the people that we competed. As you know, I did model search. The amount of friends I made off the back of that, just competing, and that was that was great fun. And I think this is where whatever avenue you go down, you get to meet some amazing people, but you don't just meet them for the weekend. That kind of like, then you see them again next year, and so on and so on. And it's just an incredible journey. So, yeah, I'm as you know, I'm looking forward to it, and no doubt see you. We'll get our yearly selfie in. But for me, I think we're going to wrap it up. I think it's been an absolute honour to have you on.
Well, thank you very much for coming and interviewing me. It's been a pleasure.
It's really good to hear the ins and outs of you and hearing about your business and all that. I'm going to be putting all the links on the podcast relating to Nick's Instagram, Facebook. If you don't know him, you can follow him and see his business ideas, come to Bodypower and so on. But for us, it's been an epic chat, a really long one. 1 hour and 35 minutes, right?
Oh, wow.
But no, it's been absolutely epic. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time, I will speak to you all very soon. Take care. Goodbye.